edge to edge. The back needs to go from edge to edge, and the sides butt up to them. So once you get that back in, what we're going to do, I'll use this, and take our flat blade screwdriver, and we're going to press. See how that snapped in with the weld there? That'll make life a lot easier to get this in. Just a nice easy tap, pull the retainer, snaps into place. Now I'm going to trim up that length. Like that. Press it on in. As you can see, we have it end to end, end to end. These pieces will butt up to the corners. This is a nice tight sling for the seat. Okay. When I put this retainer in all around the outside edges, I use my thumbs and this wooden paint stick here. I mentioned at the beginning of this instruction that you can purchase this tool, which is a screen door tool to help put in the screen. Now, what this can be used for is that retainer. If your retainer, you're finding your thumbs aren't strong enough or this isn't working, you actually run this along this top edge of the retainer to kind of snap it in. What you have to be careful of is not slipping off the edge and scratching the paint finish. So what you do is just run that along the edge, put some pressure on it, and it will snap that retainer in nice and easy. We're going to move on now to the back. Now, it's basically the same process. It is a multiple side sling, but with the back, it's only captured on 3 sides versus 4. We're going to start with our sling here. Again, top edges, make sure those cords are nice and pressed so that way the corners are not bound up. This one's a hair long, so I'm going to trim it just a smidge. Now we need to get our proper length of retainer. Again, ours is on a roll, yours will be in a length. To cut on the same principle. Fix it in the channel. Press it in so that way it's nice and smooth in there. Find out the length you want it to be. Add a little bit of material. Find your scissors. Make a trim. Be very careful not to cut your fingers. Now this process is going to be very similar to the seat for sides of the same length. We're going to straight down, bring it up, find the measurement, add a little bit, trim. And match this length. Here we have 2 equal length pieces. With the top piece, that's just a smidge shorter. Again, just like the other one, we need to cut those angles on this retainer so that it will properly fit in these corners. This is another reason why you want to make sure you have some sharp scissors, because this top edge of the seat has more rounded type corners to them. So you kind of have to play with the retainer a little bit. This is where if you were able to save your retainer and not mar it up too much, you can use your old retainer, but if there's gouges and nicks in it, it will not do its proper job and hold the sling in. So you start with one edge. You don't want to trim up both edges right now because you don't know if that is going to be cut too short or too long. So you just want to do one edge to start with. Take your back, same as before, place one corner in. You want to start with one corner. You don't want to start with both. It does have a stretch. Take your retainer, place it in, just get it snapped in. Now the back, because it's only held on 3 sides, will not have the same pressure the seat does. It's when you put the sides in is where the pressure will come from. Take my one side, put 45, put the edge to get rid of that sharp edge. Place it in there. The 45 cut also helps press some of the fabric down at the beginning. So I want to use that tool, I can use that. Press it in. this one I like to go down a ways just to make sure it's locked. That's how that tool works. Just roll it right down, now you piece of cut. You don't want to go all the way down because again we got to do some trimming on both the retainer and the cord. I want to get the tension up here at the top. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this over here and I'm going to use the surge sticks again as a different job. This time they're going to hold tension on the frame for me. So that way when I put this in, the top retainer, they kind of hold in now. They have tension on it. That gives me a good line of effort to see where I need to cut it at. Again, I'm just trimming up those rough edges. That way when you run the finger on it, it does not feel like a sharp edge. It's a nice smooth edge. Oh, that's good. Once that retainer's in, it's not going to pull it back anymore. That retainer's holding the fabric. Now you're going to notice there is tension on here. So once I get it in there, it kind of creates a void so I can fit that retainer in there nice and neat. Take my retainer. Number 45. Press it in. I can remove this now that the retainer's in there, it's holding the fabric. Press it in. Now I'm going to go ahead, slide it up to meet the top piece. Go ahead and finger walk it in. I can use this press, like so. Now I'm showing you two different ways to put this in, both the wood tool and the screen tool. So if you don't want to go out and purchase a screen tool, you don't have to, but you can also use this wood tool if you wish to do so. Now you want to make sure once you get it started, you want to get one side completely done and then do the opposite side. Trim up your cord. You want to make sure you test it, make sure you don't want it to bottom out, so you want to make sure it's nice and even with the bottom of the frame. Snap in there. Now at this point, you do want to kind of pull the sling down a bit, so that way it's all the way to the bottom. Do that to one side and lock it in, and the other side will match. Now because there's not that much tension on the side, you can use your fingers to snug it in. And again, you have to trim up square to the bottom. Here more. This is another reason why you have nice sharp scissors, because this cord is pretty durable plastic, and if you don't have sharp scissors, it will not cut it very square. You want to make sure you have a nice smooth cut. And you can see the sling is down at the bottom of the material, bottom of the frame, nice and even, and that'll keep a nice tension on there. Now we're going to move the opposite side. Now because you're starting to put tension on it, you do want to trim that cord up a little earlier than before, just like so, and then just lock it down. Again, just like the seat, you have to be patient. You gotta do bits at a time. You can't do the whole thing. It will take some pressure, some patience. This is good. Edge it down. Do the bottom again. Check. Trim if you need to. Don't have to be right the exact way. Just like so. That is the installation of a parabolic sling for the Sterling group. Thank you very much for purchasing our product.